Sometimes I feel students in Bangladesh compare two completely different battles under the same question. Should I build a stable career in Bangladesh? Or should I pursue higher studies abroad? Honestly, after spending years in the United States as a PhD student, I think this comparison itself is often misunderstood. Preparing for a government or corporate job in Bangladesh usually means you are fighting for stability inside a familiar environment. Pursuing higher studies abroad means you are voluntarily stepping into uncertainty. Many people think getting a fully funded admission means life is finally secure, but in reality, that is only the beginning of a much longer and more difficult journey. From the very beginning of my bachelor's degree, I was determined to pursue higher studies abroad. That goal stayed in my mind throughout my academic journey. While many people around me gradually shifted towards safer or more predictable career options, I continued preparing myself for the long term goal of pursuing higher studies abroad, especially in Japan, South Korea, Australia, or the United States. The process itself was not easy. English proficiency exams, SOP writing, recommendation letters, university selection, and application processes all required years of planning and consistency. I mainly focused on the Duolingo English test for USA University admission requirements, although I also took the IELTS computer-based exam with around 10 days of preparation. And honestly, that exam itself felt like my first full mock test experience. At that stage, nothing felt guaranteed. There was no certainty that all the effort would actually change my future. But I kept moving forward because I knew this was the path I genuinely wanted to pursue. Eventually, that decision changed the direction of my life. I received fully funded admission in the United States and started my PhD journey in soil science at the Ohio State University. Today, my research focuses on long-term no-till systems, soil physical quality, carbon sequestration, water retention, and sustainable agricultural management. Scientifically, the work is exciting and meaningful. But what people often do not see is the emotional and psychological cost behind research life abroad. Research is not simply about intelligence or hard work. Sometimes you spend months collecting soil samples, analyzing data, building statistical models, and writing manuscripts, only to receive paper rejections or harsh reviewer comments. Sometimes experiments fail completely. Sometimes your hypothesis turns out to be wrong after months of effort. Sometimes you stay in the lab until late at night and still feel like you achieved nothing meaningful that day. And the hardest part is that most people outside academia never truly understand this type of pressure. Even after completing a PhD, uncertainty does not suddenly disappear for international students. In many ways, another difficult phase begins immediately after graduation. Immigration pathways, visa status, work authorization, job sponsorship, layoffs, and long-term career stability become constant concerns in the background of life. My I-140 under the EB2 NIW pathway has already been approved, and I am deeply grateful for that progress. But that process also taught me how much patience, planning, and emotional endurance are required to build a future abroad. Many people see only the final achievements on LinkedIn or social media, but behind those achievements are years of invisible pressure, uncertainty, and sacrifice. One thing I realized throughout this journey is that having a unique identity outside your degree can become extremely important for long-term growth. Degrees alone are no longer enough in today's world. Since 2016, I have been building earthreview.org alongside my academic journey. Initially, it started as a small platform related to environmental science and research communication. Over time, I realized something important. Building your own platform, your own voice, and your own contribution outside institutional boundaries may become one of the most valuable investments for the future. Careers today are becoming increasingly unstable everywhere, whether in academia, industry, biotech, or corporate sectors. A unique identity, personal platform, communication skill, or independent contribution can eventually become just as important as the degree itself. So, honestly, when students ask whether they should stay in Bangladesh for a stable career or pursue higher studies abroad, I do not think there is a universally correct answer. Both paths involve sacrifice, both paths involve uncertainty in different forms. The real question is not which path looks more prestigious from outside. The real question is what kind of struggle are you personally prepared to live with for years? Because higher studies abroad are not an escape from hardship. In many ways, they are simply a different kind of hardship that slowly changes you mentally, emotionally, and professionally forever.